Right, just before we crack on with this episode, just a quick word about our sponsor, KS Civils and Groundworks Limited, based in Leeds. They have over 296 years of combined experience in civil engineering and groundworks. Led by Director Carl Smith, their team is known for honesty, reliability and commitment to the highest safety and quality standards. They're proudly ISO accredited and fully CHAS Elite accredited. No matter the size of your project, KS Civils and Groundworks delivers professional, trustworthy service you can rely on. To learn more, visit kscivilsandgroundworks.co.uk. Now let's dive back into this episode. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today I've got the honour of speaking to William Person. Now, William's come to us from the States, which I absolutely love. They just sat in a little room in the back end of the northeast of England, get approached from a company in the States asking us, would you like William to come on and talk about CTE? I didn't know what CTE was until I've looked it up, and I won't even try to pronounce it. I'll let William do that in a bit. And William's a former track and field athlete who then moved into bobsled, competing at the highest levels, and is now an advocate for athletes' brain injury. And you're probably thinking, well, why is he on a podcast for veterans? Well, as you know, I sometimes interview non-veterans. But looking into what CTE is, and we'll get into this quite shortly, it's apparent that a lot of the symptoms of this sound like a lot of the symptoms that guys are suffering with PTSD and stuff like that could be having and maybe just misdiagnosed. So before I ramble on anymore, I'll just welcome William to the podcast. Hi, William. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Man, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Honestly, I really am chuffed with this one because it's opened my eyes quite a bit. And when people have listened to this, I hope that it'll make them think. I mean, we just had a little 5 minutes before we started then. And
yeah.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll start off the journey, basically, of what we're going to go on through. Is if you could just give us a bit about your background, where did you grow up, and what got you into track and field athletics?
Well, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. I was a little shy kid in the Midwest, and the truth is, when I ran track from the time I was 11 until probably around 28, 29, when I transitioned over to bobsledding. But like when you leave high school here, it's not like in Europe. Like my ex-girlfriend used to run for the German Olympic team, and over there, I realized you guys are getting sponsors in high school. Like what? Where the athletes in America, that's just a no-no. It's just impossible. And so for me, I had a choice. If I wanted to keep running track, I had to go to college. And so that's what I did. I went to college, and after that, I had a weird journey. Like, do you ever see a movie like Jerry Maguire?
Yeah.
Okay, I was doing football stuff for those movies any given Sunday. So if you see somebody on the football field running really fast, that was me. I played 5 different characters. And they put the uniform on me, and I just made everybody look like they were just, dynamic athletes. That's what I was doing. But my background, my passion was, I worked in mental health. And so I owned a youth treatment facility. I wrote the first ever independent living transitional housing program for the state of Utah. And so they opened me as a pilot program. So I took kids who were about to go into like secure care, or maybe they were coming out of secure care, like jail. And they come to me for me to kind of help clean them up and teach them how to live independently and get them out in the community. And the irony of that is, like, I didn't connect the dots back then, but I was 28 years old doing this. So some of these kids, I was like their father, but I was no more than 10 years older than these kids. I was a kid. I just didn't know it, But so, and also my first job that I took out of college, I was working at San Joaquin County Mental Health Department. If you look it up, it was the first mental health facility west of the Mississippi River. So it's half the country will come there for mental health. So you see, I saw the extreme behaviors. Yeah, matter of fact, some of the behaviors were so extreme. Like back then, we still had people who had lobotomies walking around. And I don't know, are you familiar with lobotomies?
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys were still around, man. That was scary to see that. But yeah, I saw the criminally insane. And then we had regular people who were just depressed or had bipolar or schizophrenic. And so that was my background, which prepared me for this journey that I didn't know. I had no idea where I was headed, but it wound up saving me later. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, the question I've got then, a transition from, say, track and field into bobsleigh. To me, it's kind of different. Bobsleigh's not track and field. I mean, the weird things I always associate like bobsled with like Scandinavian countries. You know,
Yeah,
it's and a rich man's sport as well. I don't know.
yeah,
Is it
yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. That's why that's why the Jamaicans, when you see them come out, they come out every 4 years. The small countries like Brazil had a team, America Samoa. Uh, it's all these little small Puerto Rico. All of those people don't have a lot of money. They come out every 4 years for the Olympics. But the rest of the countries, like the UK and Germany, Swiss, France, America, we race every year, 14 races every year, at least 14. That's for the World Cup at least. And then we have America's Cup. There's Europa Cup. So yeah, it's still going every year. It's a big sport.
So, what position on the sled were you?
I'm usually the brakeman, the guy all the way in the back.
Yeah,
So,
and
so
that's
I'm usually the
the
fast guy.
powerhouse as well. Yeah.
Well, man, everybody's a powerhouse. I'm like, there's not a weak link on that sled, but I'm just probably the faster guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually the fastest guy.
I mean, what was it like deciding to do that and then going out the first time to do it? There's
Well,
no way you're going to stick me in a cigar tube and throw me down a mountain. Not a chance.
well, this guy tricked me, man. I got on that thing. There was a tryout hosted by NBC. They were having tryouts for the 2002 Winter Olympics coming up in Salt Lake City. And so I went for the tryout, and during this tryout, I ironically just wound up setting a new record. And this guy offered me a crap load of money to race on his team for 3 months. He was like, I'll give you 50 grand if you race on my team. Now, NBC has all these cameras on me. I'm thinking this guy really has the money and the sponsors to pull this off. And I quickly found out, like, he didn't have the money. He didn't have the sponsors. His sled, like NASCAR built our bobsled. So, them things are shaped like race cars. His sled was shaped like a spaceship. It had a bubble on it. And no matter how fast I pushed this guy, even the girls were beating us to the bottom of the track. But he was good. But he never crashed me, so I never complained. But I wound up getting picked up by a bigger team that first week, and I won a medal in the America's Cup race. Within my first, I started the tryout was a Wednesday. By that following Friday, I won my first medal, and so it was just fun. It was different, and I love representing my country at the Olympic level, and I just rolled with it. 9 years later, I was still there.
I mean, it's like the pressure's on you all the time as well, isn't it? To perform and to win,
Nah,
basically.
well, athletes are athletes. We're gonna always do our best, and in America, there's always 1,000 guys waiting to take my job. So, but
Yeah.
I'm like this. For as long as I put the work in, I don't worry about it as much. I'm just out having fun and doing what I did with track. I still put the same workouts in. I didn't like some people say, okay, well now you don't have to run so far. You don't have to run so much, but not me. I still did the same workouts that I always did.
And
Yeah.
you got to travel the world a bit more as well, I suppose.
Yeah, great results. Yeah, and then I just love what I was doing. Like even when I left the sport, I wanted to keep working out. Like it's just some things you just love to do. I had a passion for doing that. Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned earlier or when we were talking earlier before we come on, yeah. I mean, we're here to talk about CTE, really.
Yeah.
People won't understand what it is. I think we should start off really with probably an explanation of what it is and how bobsled and other contact sports can cause it.
Yeah.
So if we could start off with like an explanation of what CTE is. Again, I'm not trying to say that big word.
Yeah, I can't say it either. I can see it, but a lot of words I still can't say to this day because of my condition as well. So I'm definitely compromised.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Matter of
mean,
fact, 2 years ago.
Yeah, sorry, go
yeah.
on.
Yeah, 2 years ago, before I found treatment, I was struggling to form sentences and say words. Like I was laying on the floor. Like I was struggling. But let's go back. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
Yeah. So we'll just start off. So I mean, with bobsled, there's lots of movement.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a little guy. I can tell that even from here. And them sleds are quite narrow, let's say.
Yeah.
I'd imagine you fit into it quite snugly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that to someone who doesn't understand would probably think, oh well, he's not going to move about. He's not going to be banging his head on the side or on the side of the wall or anything like that.
Well, some tracks are violent. Matter of fact, there's a track in Altenburg, Germany. Oof. When you're coming out, I think it's like turn 13, you're almost totally inverted. And so when you come back down, it's a whip effect. So I'm all the way on the back. So the further you sit back on the sled, the further you get it. So one time I remember almost going unconscious. I hit my head on the side of this sled when we came off that turn, and it cracked my helmet right on the mouth part. And man, yeah. So you hit your head. You do hit your head. So every track's a little different, but that's a very violent track.
I mean, I'd imagine you've got to memorize the tracks like a motorbike race, like going around like an Nürburgring or something like that. Remember, know what that corner's doing, how high you're going to go up, the speed, you're going to brake and stuff like that.
Yeah. Some people can do that. I was never really one to can do that. But what I did do is I knew there was always a long straightaway. And then there's like be a long big turn. And then I can kind of know where I'm at based off of the big turns. Because the big turns are the ones that get you. That's where the G-forces are. They're kind of like hiding there waiting on you. And so
again, I mean, it's because it's such an alien thing to me. I wouldn't have even, I see it on the TV or whatever, and I just think, yeah, you don't appreciate the violence of it, really.
yeah, like if you asked me to explain to you what a G-force felt like, I couldn't even explain it to you. You wouldn't comprehend it unless you were a fighter pilot and you do those. Man, I do those bank turns. That's where they come from. That's where they come from.
Yeah, I mean, I'd drive a little old van. I don't think I'm going to get fast enough to get a G-force. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, I got that one. I got one for you. So you drive a van, right?
Yeah.
You've driven, well, let me see, kilometers. Well, 95 miles an hour. I forgot what the conversion on that would be, but imagine going 95 miles an hour in your van, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going down the street, straight line, no big deal. Now you get to a 4-way stop sign, right? 4-way stoplights. The light's green, so you have to make a right-hand turn, right? So you're going 95 miles an hour in your van. Just turn. Don't touch the brakes. Don't decelerate. Just turn. So what happens is all the blood leaves that head and it goes everywhere else except where it belongs. And that's where the problem comes in. That's where the problem comes in.
So the problem comes in just because of the blood loss to the brain and the micro concussions as well.
And the micro concussions, yeah. And the big concussions, trust me, the big concussions. I remember the first one I had was in St. Moritz, Switzerland. And my brakeman that day, I was sitting number 3. It was my first World Cup race. And I was sitting in the number 3 spot. And my brakeman was knocked unconscious. And I had really bad vertigo. Matter of fact, I remember standing there with Prince Albert right after the race. And he winked at me. And I was like, why is he winking at me? And I was like, oh my God, Prince Albert's in love with me. I really thought for years Prince Albert was in love with me. But I was concussed. I wasn't thinking straight. And until about 5 years ago, I went, hey, wait a minute. That guy wasn't in love with me. He winked at me because in Europe, you guys wink. Over here, we do like this, there's a difference. But my mind was gone. For 20 years, I'm thinking Prince Albert was actually in love with me. And so on the next year of the World Cup season, when I saw Prince Albert, I just said, I just don't isolate with him. I don't want to lead him on, And I have I live in LA, Los Angeles. I have a lot of gay friends. And I didn't want to lead them on, but my brain the thought process was just out the window.
I mean, when did it become apparent that you had something wrong?
I don't actually have an honest answer for that, but I do know I had a lot of teammates who began to commit suicide. Then I found out there was a lot of Parkinson's and strokes and seizures. And one of my teammates called me one time. Like I used to do football movies for Hollywood. I was doing like Jerry Maguire, Any Given Sunday, working with like Tom Cruise, Cuba Gooding Jr., Jamie Foxx, people like that. And so when I don't know, I got to this point, man, I just see right there, I just lost that train of thought. Like that's my one little glitch I still have that I can't seem to kind of kick. Like I'll start that. I know where I was talking about something, Then it'll just go bloop, like, hey, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So if you
suffer
want to
that.
give me that question again, man, I apologize.
So I'll rephrase it. You started noticing the symptoms in other people before you noticed it in yourself.
Oh, I know exactly what I was talking about now. This is what it does. Okay. So one of my buddies, he wanted to, so when I left the Team USA, I moved to Los Angeles, and my buddy wanted to be a writer. He was a 2-time Olympian named Pavle Jovanovic. And so he would call me with these ideas for writing movies and stuff. And they were like these really weird concepts, things I've never heard about. And I said, that'd be really good. And so what I thought was really creative writing wasn't. His mind started to slip. And I only know that now because the next time he called me, or the last time he called me, he was speaking gibberish, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? You know, he got so frustrated with me. He hung up the phone on me, right? And every day I told myself, you know, because mental health was my background. So I have to help him. This is my friend. I have to help him. And I said that to myself every day until I got a phone call that he went to his family's factory and he hung himself. And yeah, he committed suicide. And
Jesus.
yeah, so, but he hung himself. So they preserved his brain. And yeah, and so I felt so responsible and guilty that because I didn't do anything. Like I should have done something, but I, you know, not just talk about it, you know? And
Yeah.
time
that's
goes on.
There's guilt in it, really. So
Yeah,
you
but
can't do everything for everyone all the time.
I didn't know anything was wrong with me, though. I just was like, I felt guilty for not helping him. And so fast forward, I was having a lot of problems and I didn't really understand what they were. So I bought a little lake house back in the Midwest, and I was preparing to go there to die. I thought that's was going to be my death house. So I bought the place. And when I was there, I still had an apartment in Los Angeles. So I came back to LA, closed out my apartment. I had a girlfriend that was here. So sometime I would spend some time with her. And when she's on the phone with her family, they talk so loud. It was killing me. Like I was like, I can't take this anymore. Like I'm going back to my lake house where I can get some peace. And I told her we should probably think about breaking up because I can't deal with your noise. It's just too much. And so while I'm over there, this article shows up called Sledhead, written by the New York Times. And the article really talks about all the things that my teammates were dealing with. Some of the things before suicide, and then the ones that still here with Parkinson's and dementia. And there was a few other ailments on there. And so I read this article, right? And then I literally get on my knees and thank God that all the symptoms missed me. I say, yeah, I'm good. I took the article and I sent it to my girlfriend. She circled some stuff. And the first thing I saw was noise sensitivity. And then I said, oh, what was the reason why I was there in the first place? And then I went down that list and I realized I checked everything on that box, every box that was there except Parkinson's, I think. And I went, uh-oh. And then at that time, Pablo's autopsy report came out. And he was in stage 4 of CTE, which meant like my guilt kind of went away because I knew I couldn't help him. And then for the first time, I realized I couldn't help him because I needed help. And so that's when everything kind of connected. And I was like, oh my God, this thing has a name now. Because for years I had been seeing doctors. I thought it was diabetes because I couldn't get off the floor sometime. And even on the day when my friend called me, I had taken the bed out of my, off the top mattress off of my bed. And I put it in my living room on the floor because I was close to the kitchen and the bathroom and the front door. And so, but I didn't know anything was wrong with me. I just thought that I had a sugar diabetes problem. But it didn't make sense because I always ate clean and I didn't have issues with that. You know, it's just doctors kept telling me I was wrong. But yeah, that's
so
what it was.
One of the symptoms is excessive lethargy, isn't it? So it's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so
like
the symptoms.
Yeah, I didn't know much about CTE before. You know, we got in touch with each other, and like you said, the symptoms there, some of them are quite scary.
From talking to
really
you earlier, you check the boxes.
Yeah,
You definitely, and I'm going to tell you because, for example, along this journey, I found out our military guys were dealing with the same stuff, and it's all the same stuff. It's over and over and over the same thing. This is my phone. I'm sorry. I turned this thing off and somehow it is still ringing. Let me redo that. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah. And so some of the symptoms you go through, one of them is like you can't focus, so people think they have this adult ADHD. You didn't have it your whole life, but now it shows up in our 40s and 30s and 50s. Like, no, that's not what that is. Some people get the sleep apnea. You'll get that. You start snoring, and now they'll say, "Okay, now you got sleep apnea. Now they got you on this breathing machine."
Tick.
Yeah. See, you never told me that one. Yeah, and so it's the same thing. Like you can't focus. You're lethargic. So I began living off caffeine. I never drink coffee or Coca-Cola, stuff like that. Now I'm living off of it. So it's the same stuff over and over and over. And I start seeing it in our military guys. And then this agency reached out to me called treatnow.org. And it's about them treating military people now and not, they shouldn't have to wait for treatment. And I found out like there's people, they know what this stuff is, but people just aren't, everybody's not getting the same help. Like if you don't know the right people, you're not going to get help. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's quite a misdiagnosed condition as well. Because obviously the symptom, I mean, we've mentioned symptoms there already that can be in lots of things. Like you thought diabetes. Funny enough, I'm type 2 diabetic. But I think that's just from me getting old and fat and lazy and whatever. Probably my own fault. But there is a lot of the underlying conditions for CTE that are similar, very similar. So I'd imagine it, can misdiagnose quite well or quite easily.
This comes from being around the military, the compression blast, the shooting the guns, been around the tanks.
Yeah.
Those guys are compromised. Matter of fact.
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, before today, I didn't realise that the MOD in the UK had basically ignored it or denied it, saying that, it's a psychological problem, not a physical one.
Absolutely.
It's only recently that they've actually agreed that it's not a psychological problem and it's a physical trauma.
Yes.
So, I mean, if we've got this far along, we haven't actually described what it is, really. So if you just want to describe to people what CTE actually is.
Man, it's such a hard thing to describe. And that's one of the reasons why most people go with diagnosis and getting help. Because when you're struggling with this thing, it looks like so many other things. Like I said, we already mentioned diabetes. We mentioned being lethargic. We mentioned ADHD. It's all these other symptoms that come into play. But what happened if you actually Google CTE in America, like you'll start seeing all the athletes who actually were diagnosed with it. And so you have to follow their patterns. And so with them, there's a lot of suicides. There's a lot of murders. They're killing their families, their loved ones, the people around them, strangers. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, there was a gentleman. I was just reading about him again a couple hours ago. What's his name? He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Doug Martin. They found him in some random lady's house in his neighborhood, and the police came to stop him, and he died in custody. And then if you look back, he was at treatment facilities trying to get help. Because what happens is people start self-medicating with this thing. They want to feel better, like they're trying to stop the pain. So most of them, they start drinking. The alcohol and the drugs is kind of what takes you out with CTE. CTE gonna get you eventually, but in the meantime, it's the stuff you do that make you calm your symptoms down. And so there's usually alcohol. I've seen cocaine, of course, but those are the things and it's brutal, and it's such a slow, progressive thing. For me, it started with I had these random days of being cloudy. It was really random. Like that's why I thought it was diabetes, because when it happened, I'll take a whole bunch of caffeine and pump it in me, and okay, now I'm feeling okay, kind of. I can get through the day. And then the random days of cloudiness turned into random days of clarity. Next thing you know, it was so slow, I didn't see it coming. I got to the point where I couldn't get up off the floor anymore, or I couldn't do anything. And then every day when I woke up, I had a thermos full of coffee or soda, like sitting on the nightstand waiting on me, and I'll take a sip of that, and then I'm awake now. Now I have to figure out what the day is. I don't know if it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I automatically have to tell myself I don't know what day it is. So I had a
Wow.
little blue book, like a little calendar. I open up that calendar. It'll tell me, okay, today is Monday. Okay, it's Monday. Okay, now what month are we in? I was stuck. I always thought it was January or August. I don't know why the same 2 months. It was always the same thing. So every day when I woke up, same routine. And yeah, it was just, I didn't know. And I just couldn't figure it out. And yeah, like I said, it took for a lot of people to die before I could connect the dots properly.
So I mean, it's the damage to the brain, isn't it? It's going to change synapses working, and it'll cause different behavioural problems. It does sound like a lot of the symptoms are very, very similar to PTSD, which, as we know with some people, is actually, it's not a, how can I put it? It's not a psychological thing. They've actually got trauma to the brain,
Trauma.
even
Yeah.
from just seeing traumatic events.
Yeah.
I know, guys. I mean, we're going to talk about the treatment that you undertook in a bit, but I know guys who have been and done diving therapy in the Caribbean to cure, not cure, but to, well, I mean, they say cure PTSD.
Diving in the
Because,
water, like ocean.
yeah, they go. It's very. I demand. It's very much like hyperbaric treatment.
You
So
mean
they
that
go
thing
down
right there?
to, yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's what saved
Yeah,
my ass, man. It's the same thing. It is
yeah,
the same thing. Yes.
yeah. I mean, the way. So I had one of the guys on who runs it, and the way he described it to me is because sometimes the trauma on your brain is caused by cortisol, and it's not
Oh,
moving.
yeah.
It's caused by damage, which is basically what happens under, or as I understand, happens with CTE. And when they go down to depths that we're not supposed to dive in Europe, that's why it's done over there.
What?
Yeah, so they go
That-
down to about 60 meters
okay.
and stay there for a period of time before coming back up, and it gets rid of the cortisol on the brain.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not a personal friend of mine had gone over there to do it, and they'd done a 7-day course, basically diving every day, and it changed his life.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I mean, so the way I'd like to try and tell me if I'm wrong, but for
I'm so
anyone,
hold on, man. You see these
yeah.
goosebumps? Black people don't get goosebumps. Goosebumps, man. That's what this machine that's sitting behind me does.
Wow.
It makes your body believe it's underwater, turns that blood into a gas, and it can get through all the blocks, oxygenates
So
everything, and
yeah, it's the
just
nitrogen that gets rid of the cortisol.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I couldn't talk. I was struggling to talk before I got in that machine. I was in there 1 hour. 1 hour when I came out of that thing. It's like I came out. I was walking around the world, looked like it was in 3D. Like I was like, what? I didn't recognize where I was at. I almost don't remember going to that place. 1 hour. Yes. And
Wow.
yeah, that machine behind me is what saves my life. Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's
like, so some of the symptoms, like we touched on there, like behavioural changes and things, and
yeah.
people commit suicide.
Yeah.
They harm themselves. They deal with it. They try to
Yeah.
self-medicate. They have suicidal ideations, and that's because the brain is just mushed. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't take long for it to happen.
No. No, it doesn't. And once you get there, it's doctors are misdiagnosing this thing, and they're not. And some people like I went to doctors for so many years, right?
Mm.
And I'm asking for help. They never ever check my brain. They will always check in my blood. But the thing about this condition, even if they did check my brain, they wouldn't find this until I'm dead. Till they go in there
Oh,
and start
wow.
slicing the brain up, because they only diagnose CTE post-mortem. So you have to die to get it. So I think they said 90% of the brains of the NFL players that they checked once they died had it in there. So yeah, it's
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
it sounds very. I mean, it sounds similar. I'm not a brain surgeon,
Hmm.
or I'm not medical at all. But it does sound quite similar to the symptoms that a lot of guys who have left the military, and sometimes, not they've not worked with loud noises or bangs or concussions or impacts or anything like that. They're just the stress and PTSD, depression, and things like that. It sounds very similar to that. So again, it could probably be misdiagnosed. Like
Yeah.
like I said earlier about the MOD and finally admitting that it is a thing and not just
Well,
a psychological problem.
our military just admitted it too, but then those articles that show that they admitted it, they began to disappear. And matter of fact, the truth is, did you ever see that movie Concussion with Will Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, my life has played out kind of the same since I started to talk about this openly and bringing it to the court system. And I'll be very honest, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy guy, but I've been told by a lot of big people there's a lot of big people watching me. You know, a lot of big people don't want this information coming out, and there's a good chance that you know
Yeah.
if I disappeared, I wouldn't. You know, I would. My
It
family
wouldn't
already
surprise you.
knows. My
Yeah.
family. Well, I'll be gone. It'll be too late for me. But my family and my friends know that I'm not going to harm myself, and I put those statements out. But I'm in trouble from talking about this stuff. But they left me to die, man, and I'm watching my
I mean,
friends die, and I'm not going to
it,
stop.
you
In
sounded
this,
to say that. You just said you don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, and
yeah.
there's plenty of conspiracies out there.
Hmm.
And it's not until you find out that some of them are true that they stop becoming conspiracies.
Yeah.
It's just that's the fact of life. Whistleblowers, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, because you don't see the symptoms of yourself while you're developing them, I would
Yeah.
imagine for a lot of people who do get diagnosed in the end, it's their family that sees it beforehand.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I tell everybody. I have a TikTok channel called One Man with a Chamber. And like when I first started, like, because Joe Namath is the guy who saved my life. He's put out a video. He said he used hyperbarics to reverse his symptoms. And so when I tried it and it worked, like it was kind of like so I had a channel just dedicated to showing people that he never left the details of what he did. I showed the details of what I did. But now it's kind of a change a little bit. So now I help people learn to live with the symptoms, but it's really not, the channel's not for it's not for the military man the veteran. It's not for the athlete. It's for the loved ones because those are the only ones who can see it. Just like I told you the story. I read the paper that diagnosed me perfectly. And I thank God that they didn't even touch me. It was my loved ones that kept saving me, man. And there's no more to it than that. If you're on your own, like matter of fact, when I was talking to you, one of the things you just said is your therapy because you split from,
Yeah.
and if you look at every CTE suicide in the last year that I've checked on, those men were now separated from their families. And then they were alone, and that's when that happened. Or if they were still at home with the family, they were now isolated in the back room by themselves. And they say the same thing. This person was not, how do they put it? They're not acting, their character changed. They were not acting
Yeah, the
like
character change.
themselves.
Yeah.
They were acting out of character. Yes. It's the same thing over and over. So when I hear that, red flags, I already know, okay, we need to check on this guy. Why is he acting different? What is, something happened. He didn't all of a sudden just become this guy. And matter of fact, about 6 weeks ago, I think it was, we had a guy, he thought he had CTE. He's a football player. He went to the NFL office in New York and he did a mass shooting. He started shooting up the whole building, right? He left a CTE suicide note. Yeah, please look it up. It's a huge story here. So people said he doesn't know he has CTE. Well, they checked his brain. The report came back 2 weeks ago. He had CTE. And because I have that TikTok channel dedicated to this, my phone was ringing off the hook, crazy, just all day long. So I made a video. And in that video, and you can go back and check me on this, and you can fact check me. Please fact check me. I said, guys, I know we see our athletes doing these things. They're killing themselves. Excuse me. They're killing themselves. They're killing their loved ones. They're masked. They're killing strangers. I said, however, these aren't the ones I fear. And that's what brought me to your podcast. It's our military guys with the same condition are the ones that I fear, because they're now the best killers in the world. And for me, when I was struggling, my brain was stuck on this loop. It was telling me, you can't live another day like this. Kill yourself. Take your life. End this thing now. Why do you want to keep living like this? Take it. Go. You don't have to. But because I was a counselor, I had this thing I taught hundreds of people. If suicide's a great idea today, it'll be a great idea tomorrow. So I get to tomorrow, and still things are bad. Man, well, if it's a good idea to kill myself today, tomorrow will be a great day. So it just kept moving it for me. I was on cruise control because of that. But in this video, I said, we have to treat our veterans. I said, these are the ones who are going to, and I said, there's going to be a wave of mass shootings coming from our veterans. We have to get ahead of this. So I made the video. And so if you go to my TikTok channel, I'm wearing a red Team USA shirt. The next day I had court for me fighting for our Olympic athletes to get medical attention. I spoke to the judge about it. And then as we left the courtroom, I spoke to the people on the courthouse steps. It was just my publicist. I think it was a documentary producer. My girlfriend was there. And same spill that I'm telling you, I told them. Fast forward, 4 or 5 days later, one of our veterans went up to a place in Anaconda, Montana. He shot the bar up, killed 4 people, and he went hiding in the woods, and they found him a week later. Now, when they found him that week later, another military guy went on the military base. He shot up the military base. He's not a veteran. He's an active military guy. He shot up the military base. And then just 2 weeks ago, another veteran went to a Mormon church in Minnesota. He burned up one part of the church, and then he went to the other part and started shooting. And when they stopped him, there were bodies missing. So I'm assuming they burned in a fire. This all happened in the last 6 weeks. And so my thing is, we have to treat the veterans like I started with this as a plight for helping the athletes, but I quickly realized it's our veterans that we have to help more, because those are the ones who we got to help them all. But I believe eventually, I think the sports thing is eventually going to clean itself. These parents are going to stop allowing their children to go through these traumas with the brain, like put them in football when they're 5 and 6 and 8 years old. And even high school, like it's just, eventually, matter of fact, one of the high schools in my hometown this year, they shut the season down early because they didn't have enough players. So the education, I think, is slowly going to get out there, but we're always going to have military. I don't understand why. I really think our military guys shouldn't be carrying guns. They should be carrying care packages. But that's just what I think. But, I wish that could happen. If that was my dying wish, that's what it would be. You guys would be handing out bunnies and Easter baskets and stuff.
Unfortunately, there's not that many nice people in the world that we'd be able to do. The military has a job, and it's to do harm to the enemy. Unfortunately, but we're trying to do it.
Yeah, and I know you're right. But I see these. I'm a social media guy. I'm always on there watching, and I see these strangers from every country doing things that make me laugh, make me smile. And that just makes me think, okay, why do we have war? Like, what? I don't understand this. Like, this is a stranger who just made me laugh so hard. I felt so good today. Like, that's where I really hope one day we'll wind up being. But,
well, let's face it. That's
but we're not there.
It's a really philosophical question, really. And I'm really not. I can only have my own opinion on that, really. And that would be that because the rich want more power. Politicians want more land.
Yeah.
And that's it, really. And we're there to protect our country. Your guys are there to protect your country. No one's going to invade us. No one's going to invade you. I can't really see Canada coming down and having a Popeyes,
Yeah.
And let's face it, Mexico, half of them have crossed the border anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, America is Mexico. It was here. It was Mexico before it was America. So
Well, yeah,
it's just it's the
actually,
weird
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do forget American. Oh, I wouldn't say we forget American history. We don't get taught it over here as much as you don't get taught British history and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you look at the colonies of California and and New Mexico and that area.
Texas,
Yours, yeah.
Arizona,
Texas, yeah. None of it was yours. You just went, oh, we'll have that. You know.
Well, all of it actually. What
Yeah.
a Mexican is really a Native American mixed with a Spaniard.
Yeah.
Matter of
Well,
fact,
I mean, in fact, it was Mexico's fault because they invited everybody in because they didn't have enough people. Really.
no, I don't think that's what happened. They crossed
That's
on
the
the
way I
Mayflower,
understand it,
man.
anyway.
The
That's
Mayflower
what I
came,
understand.
and the
No,
Europeans just kept
I mean,
coming.
so the Alamo, right? I mean, I bet you don't know there was 3 Brits died at the Alamo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that until last week.
Well, probably more than that because remember, all the people that were fighting, those weren't Americans; those are Europeans.
Well, the guys that gone up, there was a couple of Scottish guys and I'm sure an Irish guy as well who came over and ended up in Texas with some land. Anyway, we're digressing completely. Get off that subject.
Well, before we get off that subject, matter of fact,
Yeah.
if you drive through America, all of the towns are named after. Matter of fact, when I started racing World Cup, now I'm going through Europe. I'm seeing all these names like Hamburg, Bremen, places. I had apartments in these places. Like now, matter of fact, right outside my little home where I bought in the Midwest, Innsbruck. I had to drive through Innsbruck that's Austria. Like, yeah, it's just those weren't Americans. Those were Europeans. Yeah. Now they call themselves Americans.
We were there first.
Yeah.
Throw the tea in and let's not get into that one. You said there that you mentioned you had to take the sporting body at court.
I'll say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
The sporting body, you had to take it to court.
Yeah.
So what brought that around, and how did that take part?
The last suicide with my teammate. Once I understood what this was, and then I started making phone calls, and I realized every athlete that I spoke to, and every athlete that they spoke to, are all dealing with the same stuff. And I didn't want to see another thing of Pablo where I watched him die, and I didn't want to hold that guilt. And the truth is, I was struggling so bad. I was on the ground praying for death every day myself. Like I didn't want to leave. When people kill themselves, it's the families that are left behind that deal with the trauma. And I didn't want to leave that for my family. But if God took me himself, then it wouldn't be such a bad thing. It'd be just my time. So every day I was praying for death. And the truth is I just wanted to help everybody. I didn't know how much time I had left. But the number one thing is I didn't want the new generation dealing with what we're dealing with. And so the only thing I told them is non-negotiable is you have to warn that new generation. You have to warn them before they get in the sled. But that's the one big thing they're still fighting me on. And I don't quite understand why, but I understand why, but it's
too much money involved. That's right.
Who cares? How important is this? Every athlete who's a bobsledder, you're going to come in the sport. It's going to cost you money to be there. You're going to leave the sport pretty much without a penny in your pocket from the sport. It doesn't bring any value to your family. And when you leave, your brain's going to be damaged. What is the point? They're not going to help you. They're going to turn their back on you. So, and I didn't even come
when I say there's too much money involved, I mean for the people who are sponsoring, the people who are making money.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not going to want to switch things around too quick. I mean, how do you make it safer? Or can't you?
Well, first of all, they have to remove those G-forces, which is, if they told us we're only pulling 5, and when they tested the track, it had 84.5. Now I know why our brains are mush. I think this, according to the internet, which I don't know if it doesn't seem accurate, but our space shuttle pulls 3 Gs, 3. And then the fighter pilot is 15 maybe, but bobsledders 84.5. Like something's wrong with this picture. They gotta just do the proper research. Just don't throw anything out there. But also, I remember traveling in Europe, and if you go to our amusement parks here compared to the ones you see in Europe, they're different. Like for example, I remember one time me and my girlfriend, we were traveling through Germany or somewhere. We headed down to Budapest, but we went to they had a place. There was an indoor. They had a bunch of hot tubs, But then they had this big water slide. You could see it from outside the building. It was built up through the building. And so it just, it takes you up, takes you down, little small thing. You just one person at a time, right?
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, she's a world-class hurdler at the time. So she goes first, right? She goes down and I hear her screaming, ah! I thought she was saying, we'll go. But she was saying, don't go. But I didn't know that. So I went next. It was a straight free fall, like boom. And when you go down, you land right on this next shelf, like boom. It was, in America, they're going to be slanted. They're going to be so many different things in place where you, regulations. And then fast forward, we go to Budapest, right? I'm in Budapest. I love bumper cars. I'm a bumper car fanatic since I was a kid. They had something I saw when I was a kid. They have the little wire that goes up. That's what's that thing? It's like a metal thing that goes up and touches the electric wire. And then we're waiting in line, and this kid was in front of me, so the line stopped right before we got on there. So I'm watching the people in front of me go. The steering wheel cover didn't have a cushion on it, right? And so this kid, he hit this thing. I was like, the cars were going bam. I was like, oh my God, that looked violent, like it hurt. And then the next kid went and he bust his mouth on the steering wheel. I was like, and they was like, next. I'm like, what? Next. Like in America, that just wouldn't be a thing. Everything is so safe conscious, But I just think they need to go back, fix these tracks. Don't make them so difficult. We had a guy die in the track up in Whistler in 2010, I believe it was. One of the skeleton guys or losers, he was thrown out the track. He died right there on the track. One of my teammates, he in St. Marie, Switzerland, his sled flew out the track. He was brain dead. When they went to unplug him from the life support, he woke up. He's now a school teacher in Utah. Joe Sisson.
What?
Yeah, he's still alive, man. Yeah, he's got a lot of problems, but yeah, he's still alive, man. It's great. I won my first medal with that guy. Yeah. So,
Jesus.
man, they just need to fix the sport, make some changes, make them safe, and move forward. And then the helmets, like we're using motorcycle helmets. And matter of fact, my teammates have like helmets. They were like, $100, $200 helmet. I had a $1,200 helmet because I had money. I had a treatment facility. I invested in my head. I had a $1,200 helmet, which is still sitting on my mantle at home. And I still have the same problems as everybody else. Something's wrong with the sport. If you do the sport as it's designed and you come out like this, and it's going on all around the world. Like this is not an American issue. It's going on in Canada. It's in Europe. It's in Australia. Matter of fact, I think some guy died from an aneurysm about 2 years ago, one of the pilots. So it's the same stuff over and over, but it's all being swept under the rug. And right now, I'm the only one talking about it, and they're not really happy about that. But we got to make changes.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, you said it earlier about sounding like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
There's that much money in sport nowadays that it's, billions of dollars, billions of pounds, billions of euros are made through sport. And there's too much money in it. It's too much sponsorship.
Yeah.
So it's never going to stop. And extreme sports, Red Bull and things like that. People want to watch it.
Yeah.
To see the danger. And you guys are putting yourselves in danger. And you get other extreme sportsmen do the same thing. I mean, even race car drivers. I mean, I'm surprised it's not like F1 and NASCAR that it's been brought up in that. I mean, because they're getting jolted about and smacked with their heads. And like you said, it's not just about massive brain trauma. And it's like the guys through the military, it's concussion, it's sound waves that are normally...
Sound waves, yes.
Yeah, that are affecting you. I was artillery. And normally when we were firing, if we were in a turret, you're quite protected from that. But on a field gun, so if it's a self-propelled gun, you're inside the turret, you're kind of protected from the blast. People outside aren't. But I've worked on guns. It was called an F870, Field Howitzer 70. And it was a field gun, obviously field howitzer. A field gun, the baffle on the barrel, which helps to stop the barrel coming back because the explosion, the forces are hitting it, pushing it forward. They were shaped differently to the normal gun that are normally flat. These were there. So you would get a lot of the blast coming back
Oh,
off
wow.
the explosion, when it fired. And you'd feel it. And you weren't allowed to stand in certain areas because you'd get thrown off your feet.
Wow.
And I've seen it happen to guys where we were on an anti-tank range and we pulled up there, we'd set up and we were firing in the anti-tank role. And to the right of us, there was tankies, or tankers as you guys call them. We sat there on top of their vehicles going, they were looking, oh, that's not a tank. Yeah. And then we fired and they knew that we'd fired because of the concussion of it. In fact, firing over and over and over again. I would imagine that with CTE, it doesn't take a lot for it to affect the brain because the brain's quite a delicate piece of meat, really. I mean, has there been that much research into how long it can take to develop in somebody, or how long is that the right way to say it? Does it take an extended period of time for this to happen, or can it be quite a short?
I don't believe so. What I've been told, like I'm not really sure about the research, but they say in NFL players it takes years for this to happen. I don't really believe that that's really true because they said in the bobsled brain, because of the G forces with the subconcussive stuff, you can probably develop. It's one of the only sports you can develop CTE in one season.
Wow.
But on the military, you guys are doing like, and see, most things don't happen in races. It happens in practice. Like when if you're in a tank and you're shooting that tank, you're going to practice. You're going to be shooting that thing in practice. You're not at war. And so I believe all that repetitive stuff, you're doing it over and over. I don't believe it takes that long because just like with any injury you have, like every injury I've ever had as an athlete, I raced from 11 till I won my last U.S. national title. I was 37. I was 36. I turned 37 that summer. Every injury I ever had, there was a treatment plan on how to fix that injury. Like if you had a pulled hamstring, they're going to give you ice right away, and then eventually heat, then ultrasound and stim. And then you're going to have some scar tissue left over, right? And then that's when they'll tell you, we call it waving the white flag. They give you this white rag. They tell you, here, bite this. Because then they come in with the elbow and they just go in and dig in there and they just have you screaming, but when you have a concussion, the only treatment I ever received was they told us to go back to the hotel and to watch each other to make sure you don't go to sleep right away. That's the treatment. And so now all that stuff is building up around the brain. Matter of fact, what happens is all the fluid runs to that area to protect the injury, whether it's the brain, a leg, or whatever. And then the only way we remove it by massage. We remove it by heat. We remove it by ultrasound. With the brain, we don't do anything. And I believe that's the problem. And I don't want to disrespect any veterans out there, please. I do believe PTSD is real, don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of PTSDs are misdiagnosed. And, it's not a mental illness. It's a physical illness.
Yeah.
And I'm proof of that because I was in that chamber right behind me, one of those for 1 hour, and it woke me up. Now, the problem was after that 6 days, like I was clear for 6 whole days. And then I went back the second week. I was clear for 9 days. After that 9 days, it took me a while to get back in that chamber again. It was like I never had treatment before. So for me, if I go a month without using it, I go back to struggling with finding words and being able to talk and I just become like a zombie. And I go back to where I was before I started this case. But the truth is, I know what to do now. That's why I have this thing in my house. It's taking up all this space, 8 feet long tube in your house. I had to get an extra bedroom just for this thing. But but I know what to do. And it's so simple.
I mean, can we touch on what it actually does then? If you could explain what the hyperbaric therapy does to your brain.
They broke it down to me in I call it simple dummy terms because I wasn't awake enough to understand a lot. But what they tell me, it makes your body believe it's like, depending on what pressure chamber you use, like it makes it think it's at least 7 to 9 feet underwater. And if you use a higher pressure chamber, it's even much deeper than that. So it's actually doing what you said those divers were going to do.
Yeah.
So it makes you believe it's underwater. And so your blood turns into a gas. It's more like a gas. So it can get through all the blockages, and then it goes through your whole body and oxygenates every cell in your body, they say. And so when it happens, man, it's just life altering. It's really so simple. Like I said, I was cloudy I left the sport in 2007, right around 2012 when it got really bad. So from 2012 till around 2022, when I started using the machine, I was cloudy. And then I was not cloudy anymore. And it's really that simple. So
But it's not a fix.
For some people, get permanent relief. Like Joe
Oh,
Namath,
really?
he said it reversed his symptoms. As a matter of fact, at one point, I got a little depressed about it because when I realized I'm kind of tied to this machine, I was like, man, but why are these other people getting these permanent relief, but I'm not? They said, well, if I use a higher pressure, it might make the difference. I'm not sure yet. But also remember what I know now about the sport. Every time I went down that track, I was getting those subconcussive blows. And I raced, I did between 1 to 6 rides a day, 3 to 5, usually 4 or 5 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week. It's probably fair to say. We did that 4 to 5 months of the year, and I did it for 9 years. So I have more concussions than anybody probably in the world could possibly have and still be alive. And it's probably very shocking that I'm still here. And so I'm probably the worst case scenario. So that might be the reason why I don't get the permanent relief. I don't really know the truth yet. I still...
it's still early days with it. There's a lot of research.
Well, I just have to try the higher pressure chambers. Like they're there for me to try. I just haven't yet because
So I mean, the question I've got then is if like they can't do a scan to identify if it's getting better or not. It's just down to how you feel, is it?
The symptoms. The symptoms is what'll kind of let people, like if you're a person who's around you, like for example, I say the loved ones. If you're a loved one and you see the person that you care about who's been struggling with things and they're acting out of character, and they've been around things that affect the brain, like concussion stuff, like football and soccer. Soccer's the number one sport for CTE right now because it's the biggest sport in the world. Our military guys, like you guys were being ignored, you know, and if your guy comes out of the military, I would suggest trying it or finding one because it's really simple. You'll know pretty quick. Matter of fact, I'm in a process of opening up a CTE wellness center, and it's going to be free for our It's free it's really for our military and our athletes. And it's so that you can come in and you can figure it out. And if you need 30 days of treatment, I'm going to take care of that for you. So I'm opening up a place in St. Louis, Missouri. We're working on that right now. Matter of fact, I got a crowdfunding out there. If you guys want to be supportive, please find it. It will be open to the public.
Links in the show notes.
Yeah, it will be open to the public, and that's including the people from Europe too. It's not for just Americans. I'm going to open it for everybody. So
it's like the charity that does the diving in the Caribbean. When I interviewed him and he was telling me about it, they've had as many guys come over from the States and Canada as they have from Europe. So they've had firefighters over, people who've gone through, they've suffered PTSD because of physical violence against them. A couple of women who've gone through the worst that could possibly happen to them.
Yes, yes.
Each time, every person who's been through, it's made them better.
Yeah,
it's fixed them type of thing because of the damage to the brain. And again, I can't compare it to a concussion, but it does sound very similar. So they've got a build up of wherever it is on the brain. It's
the same effect. It's identical. It's identical.
So it's like you said though, it's turning them, it's turning your blood into nitrogen and it's getting in and it's making that part of the brain work again. It's getting, it's fixing the bruising type of thing. That's the way And I'm saying this because I'm trying to understand it while I'm going along, you see.
Yeah.
So it may sound as though I'm rambling, but I'm trying to
No.
understand
Trust me,
it.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I'm the same way. And no, but it's really such a simple thing. Like, with my fact, when I'm in the chamber, you know what I'm doing? Taking a nap, watching a movie. It's not painful. It's not. It's such a simple thing. Like, you just go in this thing, your hour's up, and you come out. It's just that simple. Or I usually do 90 minutes myself, but the first time I tried it, I only did 1 hour, and it's
Is
really
there any
that simple.
danger to it? You know, somebody who doesn't need it goes in there, or is it
There's
just
only
quite benign to people?
there's certain conditions that they don't want you to use it for. For example, things if you already have holes in your lungs or things like that. There are certain conditions, like if you have like the emphysema, COPD, things like that. But now, like, the technology is so new, like, not new, but like a doctor's, if you have cancer and you before you do chemo, like, these new doctors are putting you through the chamber before you start chemo, while you're doing chemo, and when you get done with chemo. Like, there's so many people who are, yeah, because the cancer can't live in an oxygenated environment. So this thing oxygenates all your cells, and yeah.
Wow, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, they just did. Matter of fact, if you look on Google, there's a guy, he just did it. University of Houston, the strength coach. I forgot his name. I just saw it on TV about 2 weeks ago. He had cancer, melanoma. He gave him 4 to 6 weeks to live, and he tried everything the doctors told him to do. He wasn't getting better. He tried alternative stuff. Next thing you know, they showed him getting his hyperbaric chamber. Now his numbers are normal. It's like, yeah, cancer can't survive this thing, supposedly. But there's certain chemotherapies that doesn't mix with it. One of
Hmm.
them will make it more acidic in the body. So you have to make sure you talk to your doctors before you do it, and do your research. Just don't. I'm a guy on the internet. Just don't take my word for it. Do your homework. But if you have cancer, you know, I'm
I
not.
think in the
I got to
UK,
be
I
careful
mean,
what I say, because
yeah, no, I
yeah,
understand that.
yes,
Like
yes,
we don't want to be, as we call it over here, snake oil.
yeah.
Um,
Well, this thing's been around
but-
since the 1800s. It's not new. Matter of fact, I told you I worked with Jamie Foxx Any Given Sunday, right? So um, when he had a stroke, they said he had a stroke about 2 years ago. He's on set with Cameron Diaz, and like, he had a song that came out called "Blame It on the Alcohol." So his
Hmm.
people called me one time. They needed an alcohol sponsor, so I put Patron. Were friends of mine back then. I put Patron in that song. We had, like, what was that guy? Ron Howard. We had him in there. We made him look like a gangster, and yeah. So the video's online. Look it up. "Blame It on the Alcohol." It was a real good song. And so
oh,
when Jamie got sick, they rumored that he had a stroke. I called the camp and I said, "Hey, guys, first of all, don't tell me if he had a stroke. I don't want to know. But if he did," I said, "look into hyperbaric, because they say if you had a massive stroke and you go through this thing, it'll reverse the symptoms." And so, like, I live in California. All these rich people have them in their homes. They're big ones in their garages,
wow.
and they're like the fountain of youth. But it's a resource thing. If you have the money, you
Hmm.
know, yeah, you'll be okay. But if you don't usually know about these things.
No, I mean, I didn't know nothing about them until today, really. Until we started doing, talking about this, and it does sound like it's got more benefits. There's more upsides than downsides to it.
I really haven't found many downsides, other than, like, if certain ailments that you shouldn't use it with. And I don't know them all, and I don't pretend that I do. I just really stay in my lane.
I
And
mean, I would imagine the placebo effect of it is just as good anyway. So,
that's what I thought, but no, absolutely not. Yeah, I don't. Well, unless it's like a placebo that makes you, because they all heard these things, like the mind can heal itself. Like, if you get a placebo on it. But for
hmm,
me, like, the first time I tried this thing, I tell you what, your channel's not PG-13, right?
no,
Okay, I'm gonna give you the real deal then. All right, first time I tried the chamber, right? I came out of that thing, and, like, my glasses are slightly tinted because I'm sensitive to lights, sounds, and smells now. And so I come out, and this salesman, he sees me taking these glasses on and off because everything's looking so pretty, and I don't really need my glasses. Like, he's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't think I need my glasses." He's like, "Oh, you one of those?" And I was like, "Okay, he's come that salesman. He's finna try to sell me, right?" But he's right. Some people get immediate relief, but some people need like 2 treatments a day for 30 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, things are beautiful. So I get home, right? I lay down on the couch. I fall asleep. I wake up. I can't remember if it was 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock. But I had a worse migraine. One thing about this condition, you get migraines a lot. Well, sometimes. Excuse me. Because I get migraines and I get vertigo every now and then. So I had a migraine, and I'm thinking, oh my God, did I do something bad by using this machine? But the one thing that made me think not, I had a migraine, but I had an erection with it. Those are two things that don't go together. Like, so that's no placebo, man. I could have wished that one up in my best dream. So yeah, and so
I'm gonna have to get myself one of these things.
yeah, and so I went to bed. Got into bed. It was midnight now. I got this migraine still, and I got this erection. I wake up in the morning. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. That migraine has subsided. I could feel where it was at, though. I still got the erection, still there. Yeah, and so it was doing something, man. And then over the next few hours, my cloudiness was gone, man. 6 whole days, and I went back into that next week, and I had 9 days of relief, and I've been more alert ever since. So yeah, it does something. I thought maybe it was placebo too. I was like, it's just but no, I couldn't have wished for an erection and a migraine together at the same time. And my migraines, I never know when they're coming. They show up when they show up. But yeah, I never had one together.
Erections.
Yeah, you ever had a migraine and say, "Hey, honey, let's not make love"? Like, no, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I don't want to smell your scent. I don't want you to touch my skin. Turn off that light. Close the door. But yeah, no, this thing is the real deal, man. It's there's no more I can say about it. I don't sell them. I don't have any endorsements with anybody with these things, and it's just my experience with it. Yeah.
Looking forward to the future for you. You mentioned that you're going to be opening a centre. Mm-hmm. Obviously we'll put the crowdfunding links and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you approached the sporting body for bobsled or bobsleigh and see if are they willing to chip in with it, really?
Or you mean the people that don't want to admit we have a problem here? The ones that don't want to help the athletes at all? Like, no, they don't.
Well, I think you just answered that question there, then, yeah.
Yeah, they answered it for me. Yeah, I was really hoping when we started this process, they would say, "Hey, we didn't really understand. How do we fix this thing?" But that's not what they came in at. Yeah, totally the opposite. I totally. And the sad part of it is the people that coach there, they were athletes once before. So the guys, like my drivers, if you look up Stephen Holcomb, he was my driver in the 2003 World Championships. Any Olympic medal that's been won for America since then, it was him that won them, right? He's won them all. Those were his best friends and his buddies. My buddy who called me speaking gibberish, they were all good buddies, like best of friends. They've just kind of turned their back on these guys who died and took their lives. Matter of fact, Stephen, he killed himself at the Olympic Training Center, and
wow.
Yeah, this is one of them issues that and to think about it, and before I used to be really upset with them about it, but then whenever I ask athletes to put me in touch with athletes who need help, the name of the athletes who still work there are the names that come up. So we're asking people with CTE to help people with CTE. They're already compromised, so I kind of forgive them, and I hope that we can get them some help too. But you can't. It's just like asking a person with trauma to help another person with trauma. They don't know how. And that's the way I have to look at it.
I mean, I get that, but sometimes the guy with the trauma is the expert as well.
They're still in the trauma. They might not even realize they have the trauma yet.
Yeah.
They don't understand why their life is kind of falling apart. Like, I hear the stories about some of these guys, and it's sad, And some of these guys, they're my age, but they're seem like they're 80 years old, 75 years old mentally. And I know what it is because we all know what it is. Matter of fact, the athletes are calling me and telling me to check on these guys. So we know what it is. And it's
what was the outcome of the court case? I forgot to ask.
Well, I'm glad you asked. My law team, I'm the lead plaintiff, so only I can reject or accept offers. They finally put our offer up here in January. The offer was to evaluate the athletes, not to treat us, and not to give us funds so we can get our self-treatment. And so I rejected the offer. So my law team thought it was a good idea to send it to the judge and hope that they would accept it. So my law team is now standing together with the Olympic law teams. They're together now. So I'm in court. It's public record. Please look it up. It's not conspiracy, guys. Look this one up. My last 3 court hearings, it's me like in front of the judge like this. No, Your Honor, I'm not signing that. No, Your Honor. It's me versus all these high-paid lawyers. And I'm compromised, guys. I'm afraid because, first of all, I don't speak law. I should not be the one in front of this judge to represent this class of athletes. There's 643 athletes that I know of right now. And I think the number is going to double, more, maybe triple. And I'm the lone standing. So if I disappear, this case goes away. That's the scary part. And you can take that and do what you want to do with it. But that's the truth. If I disappear, and I had that feeling because I told people if this happens, they could sign off on it without me. And next thing you know, this offer showed up and they asked me to sign off and I said no. And I didn't know. It put that, say when I first spoke up, I knew I was in danger, but all the athletes spoke up. And it's like, I'm sick. So they'd had to harm everybody to make this go away. But to make this case go away, they just need me to go away now. And so I've been very vocal and concerned about that. So,
I think you're a bit too, I would hope that, you're too much of a public figure over it now that any harm would come to you.
No, they've buried all the big stories. HBO, it's gone. It's,
You mentioned that before we started recording.
Yeah. They did a story on us, HBO Real Sports. Now you can go to their website, any HBO server, and I challenge you, look up the Winter Olympic Suicide CTE episode. It was 2021, I believe. You can find every episode they ever did right there on the server, but you won't find that one. It's gone. And it's not conspiracy, guys. It's truth. And the truth is, if I sign off on this case, they get to pay $2.1 million to evaluate the athletes, and this case is over for them, and they can keep doing business as usual. If I sign off on it,
$2.1 million isn't enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough, and it won't do anything. Like I asked my lawyers, have you found anyone who would help? Because it won't help me. I'm the lead plaintiff, and everybody I spoke to, it won't help. Like they said no. I said, then why would you want me to sign off on this? And they can't give me a real answer. Oh, it's a great deal. Like, well, what's the deal? There's no care. So the last court hearing, I pulled out an email they sent me. And the email said, because they're trying to tell me like I'm crazy, like this thing was always about medical monitoring only. So I pulled out the email they sent me. It says medical monitoring and care for life. I didn't say, give me $1 million, give me 20 million. I made no demands for myself because really, like I said, I thought I'd be dead before the case ended because I was praying for death every day. But the truth is they just don't want to help. They want this thing to go away. And if I go away right now, this case goes away with 2.1. And they put a lot of tricks out to get rid of my voting rights over it. Like they added 4 new plaintiffs, lead plaintiffs. And actually the plaintiffs that 3 of the 4 that they put on there, according to them, they won't treat anyway because they raced before 2002. Now, the significance of that, is that the insurance company, the Olympic team can't find the insurance policies they had before 2002. So anybody from 1983 to 2002, they can't find the insurance policies. So those guys aren't covered. So here I am in court fighting for them to include those guys. So the guys they included to outvote me are the guys that aren't covered in the case in the first place. So it's not conspiracy, guys. Please look it up.
Make sense. Oh, yeah.
Hey, please look it up. And I challenge you to diagnose me crazy. Please look it up. Please do. Follow the case.
We will.
Yeah.
Right, William. It's been just over. Well, now we're in 15 minutes. I think we'll have to call it a draw there.
Wait a minute. You said if we get to an hour and 20 minutes, you're going to send me that gun behind you for free.
No.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
It's not real. That's why.
Oh,
Let's not get into the gun culture thing about the UK and in America. Christ.
I was about to say, I didn't know you guys could have guns like that over
there.
No. But I knew you was as a military.
BB gun. It's a BB gun, that is. It's a toy. Yeah, no, we're not allowed. We're not like yous. We don't conceal carry or open carry or have. I just don't understand There's a weird thing, I think, between. And I know this is digressing from why we're on here, but we might as well while we're here. And I've had this conversation with every American I've had on the podcast. We don't understand your fascination with guns. We just don't, because we don't have that fascination with guns. We don't have that gun culture. So consequently, there's less gun crime. And all right, we're a smaller place.
Yeah,
there's not somewhat nowhere near. Even if on comparison, do we have that level of violence? And you just on about the amendments and defending your home and this, that, and the other, and there's arguments for and there's arguments against, but the majority of us over here just don't understand it. Why
most of Americans don't understand it either. But I promise you, if you were here, the truth is, it's such a violent place. Like, it's a very violent place, and you almost kind of have to have it around. It's just that sad.
That is sad. That really is sad. I mean, we have we have problems in the UK with knife crime. Just imagine if we had the same level of ownership of firearms. It'd be just as bad. It'd be just as bad. But other countries, don't have that level. It's crazy. I just don't understand it. I mean, the last
it's only getting worse.
Australia.
Yeah, it's only getting worse. Yeah,
I don't think there's any
sickness here. There's a sickness here in America. There's that's a whole nother. For example, everybody talks about. I'll give you a good one. Like when I was a kid, we every year we had around Thanksgiving we do this thing where they dress you up and you dress up like either the Native American or you dressed up like the people who enslaved you. Like what is wrong with that picture? And like they always say, George Washington was the greatest president because he freed his slaves eventually. Well, that's not really quite true. But also they tell you he had wooden teeth. And the truth is he didn't really have wooden teeth. If you actually, did you ever hear that rumor he had wooden teeth?
No, I mean, again, nothing. It's so far out of my comfort zone that I wouldn't know anything about that.
Okay, well, they said George Washington had wooden teeth, right? And everybody loves him. He's the founding father. He's the greatest guy ever. But what they don't tell you is he actually took the teeth out of his living slave's mouth to make dentures for himself. So if you Google the picture, it'll show up there in the Smithsonian Institute. The teeth are still around. So, it's a lot of, there's a lot of mental illnesses and sicknesses over here with a lot of people. And it's called patriotism sometimes, and sometimes it's not. But yeah, it's just we're so divided.
I think one of them's in the White House at the moment, mate. I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah, I'm afraid to even say that one's out there. They'll be in trouble. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and it's it's. I mean, it's some things you don't understand. Yeah.
The other thing that is very, very different is the care systems in America. We haven't got the best thing in the world. We've got the NHS, and it's free at the point of care, and we are very, very proud of it.
Yeah,
I watch documentaries mainly on YouTube of people driving around places like Philadelphia and looking at the homeless. I mean, we do have homeless problems in the UK, but nowhere near on the scale that they have in the States.
Oh no!
A lot of these people are only there because they have mental health issues.
Yeah,
they can't get treatment, and they're on the street, and it's like cities. It's like within a city, you've got a small town of homeless people living on. And they're just left there.
Come to California, where I'm at, and go to Skid Row, a place we call Skid Row. Matter of fact, Jamie Foxx, he talked about it. He had told us he went down there one time to. Did he tell me that? Or did I read this one? or watched a video. But he went down. He was doing a movie called The Soloist, so he wanted to get ready for that role. So he dressed up like a homeless guy. They put the makeup and stuff on him. He went down where the homeless people are. He said at nighttime the police came and sprayed water on them to get them cold, so they'll leave the areas. But if you go down there, you'll see just pockets of it's drugs down there. They got gangs that run through there. They got these people are being violated, and if you really talk to some of them, you can tell you're not talking to a person that's really all there. Some of them can't really talk very well. Yeah, but they changed our mental health system with when Ronald Reagan was in office. He said you can no longer lock up mental health people because I guess they were just locking these people up. So when he opened those doors, they can open those doors. So now there's not a lot of help for those people now, which is pretty sad.
I think similar happened in the UK. I mean, we call it the caring community, where they get a lot of the. I've got a lot of friends who work in mental health. Some of them in some really nasty, well, not nasty places, but dangerous places.
Yeah, remember that's why I opened the program. I opened when I opened that independent living transitional housing program for kids. Well, for teenagers, it was so that they wouldn't go there, and I taught them how to live and be on their own and be in school, jobs, save money, things like that. So it's just we need more of those kind of programs to continue. Yeah.
Right, William, I'm going to have to end it there. So that's been an hour and 20 dead on, but you still
all right, man. All right. Appreciate your time, man. Appreciate your
time.
No,
honestly, it's been entertaining and it's been informative. Again, I'll put on the links. If you send me all the links over that need to go out with the show, I'll get them on when we put it out. It'll be out in a few weeks' time because I've got a loaded already.
I got one last question. One last question before we go. When are you going for your dive over there? How come you haven't been on your dive yet?
I don't need it. I don't think.
You checked the boxes. You said the ADHD, the non-focus.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll do a little digress before we go. The thing with ADHD or adult ADHD, you touched on it earlier, right? A lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon saying, "Oh, I've got ADHD," right? And none of them are diagnosed. And I know for a fact that if I wanted to get diagnosed with ADHD, it'd probably take me a minimum of 7 years to get diagnosed with it, even if I was fast-tracked.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people are just jumping on these bandwagons. The other thing that gets me, I wouldn't say angry or riled, and every time I mention this, and I haven't mentioned it a lot, but it sounds as though I don't care, right? But I do, right? I think too many people are using the mental health banner for their own means and their own gain. And it gets used that much, mental health, mental well-being, wellness, it gets used that much that it's in danger of losing its effective power as a set of words, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just getting, I think it's overused at the moment. And that's just my opinion. That's how
but you said you thought, but you mentioned you thought you were having that symptom.
Yeah,
and you were around the things or other people who were getting those symptoms.
Yeah,
from the compression blast. There's.
I mean, the first one that I said before we started recording is the way I can't say words while I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I think too many things at once. That's always been my problem. Always been my problem. My brain's working too far forward for what I'm doing. I can't write properly, can't type properly, this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know what it is.
Take a dive, man. What you got to lose? A dive.
I might.
Either it'll change your life or it won't.
Yeah, true. There's nothing to
check
lose.
all the right boxes. You're in all the right places to have those issues. So, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to stop the recording here then. Again, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. Right.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed that podcast. I enjoyed recording it. If you could just hit the like button, and also if you could subscribe and hit the notification bell, that would be great, because it will help the channel grow. The more people will see it, the bigger it'll get, and the more guests I can get on, and the more people I can talk to. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, like I said. Look forward to the next one. Hopefully we'll be out next week as normal. Bye-bye now.